Hey.
Hi.
SeAnDawn.
SeAnDawn, Friday, live in our studio.
We are in our studio, and it is SeAnDawn. Those two parts are true.
Okay.
So we have a pretty good lineup today.
Yeah.
We're going to mix it up a little bit and have our order. So we're going to first talk about our athlete birthdays. Mm-hmm. We're going to then talk about our featured athlete. Mm-hmm. And then our primary topic.
Before we do our primary topic, we should probably highlight the challenge real quick.
The challenge, okay, mm-hmm. We'll add the challenge in. Then our primary topic is mental health, the elephant in the room. If you followed our Mighty Networks post, you'll see how that is part of it.
Yeah.
And then how to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Right. So that's our lineup right now, and we hope you enjoy. So it's going to be a pretty, I guess, deep topic, right? So let's start with the athlete birthdays. Why don't you go through the athlete birthdays?
So our athlete birthdays, we have four or five of them this week. Eric Marks, Cassie Fors was yesterday, I know that. Brenda's Friday, and Scott Hunter. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
November folks.
In November, yeah. I mean,
if we missed you, we are sorry.
If we miss anyone, we're always very sorry, right?
Yes, that means that you put your birthday in Wodify wrong.
Yeah, or you didn't have it down on your waiver, so we added it in as a weird date, thinking, hey, this is what it is. And if that's the case, let's correct it, okay?
Yeah.
How about our featured athlete?
Featured athlete, Skye Jensen. So Skye's one of our Coast Guard members. She was with us for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then she got transferred for a year, went to some training, I think.
Yeah, but where was it again? So she went to, I'm
going to say it wrong.
United Emirate or something like that. It's like over in...
Guam?
No. What's where Jason Khalifa likes to go all the time for vacation?
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
Dubai?
I think she was in Dubai.
Anyway, so she was gone and now she's back. So we are glad to have her back in the house. She is a powerhouse athlete. Any of you evening folks that have worked out with her on a regular basis, you know she is
short and mighty.
She is a strong little fighter. Yep. Wow. So welcome back, Skye.
And congratulations.
It's been a couple months, but welcome back anyway.
Welcome back anyways.
Yeah, thanks for being an awesome athlete.
You want to talk about the challenge really quick?
Yeah, so our challenge, if you missed the video before, it starts next Thursday. So it goes Thanksgiving to Christmas. I know it's weird and it feels different, but you're going to commit to doing 10 minutes of abs on Thanksgiving and 10 minutes of abs on Christmas. You got this. So all of these daily ab challenges will be 10 minutes or less, something you can do at home, doesn't need equipment. But anyway, that will start next week. There will be a video that goes out at the beginning of each week kind of explaining the format, and there also will be handouts down there if you're the person that likes to take paper home with you and cross things up. Okay?
Yeah, and we've been doing that, and it's been...
Yeah, we're on our second week. It's been good. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the feature topic here, and you're going to read something here in a second. Yeah. It's mental health and the mental health illness that everyone talks about, the stigma around mental health. And Eric Rosa,
the conversation.
The conversation going. Eric Rosa, the owner of CrossFit, posted something, which Dawn will read a little excerpt from that here in a second. And before we go down this topic, I do want to say, I have my notes here on this. I don't normally have notes, but it's a serious topic. Is that, we're not experts in mental health. We're not psychiatrists or anything like that. However, we are wellness coaches that deal with a lot of people, and I do feel like our interaction with our community and with different people, we get to be we do a lot of counseling outside of fitness.
Yeah,
and
we sort of become life coaches in
we
a lot
do.
of respects.
And so in that regards, I feel like we do have some skin in the game. Not maybe experts, but we do have skin in the game on that. Do you want to read this little excerpt?
And it's something that we both have dealt with, like either personally or in our families or with people that we love.
All of the above.
Nobody's untouched.
No one is untouched
by mental health, and the desire to be healthy or know that you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's read this excerpt here.
So Eric Rosa, like Sean said, he wrote a letter to his team, his inner circle that runs CrossFit, and then this also went out to all of us as affiliate owners. So I'm just going to read a little excerpt where he talks about his own story. So these are his words. It says, "Dear team, as some of you may have noticed, I haven't been around as much as usual over the past few weeks, and I wanted to share the reason why. I've been taking some time to seek treatment for depression. Nearly 300 million people suffer from depression." Just think about that number. Holy smokes.
I think it's way more than that,
And
by the way.
COVID has accelerated this global crisis, with depression rates tripling in the U.S. Suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death worldwide, and it has hit close to home for far too many of us, including those in the CrossFit home office, following the death of Chad Payton earlier this year. Heredity is one of depression's leading causes. My father struggled with depression in silence, with limited treatment options and significant cultural stigma throughout his life. I have a lot to be thankful for, but I have not been spared some of the challenges he faced. While it is uncomfortable for me to be this transparent about my journey, I've decided to discuss this openly rather than avoiding these tough conversations, so my experience can help destigmatize mental health issues and foster healing. There are many others who continue to struggle in shame or silence, so if you or someone in your life is dealing with depression, please don't wait to ask for or provide help. Reach out to your manager or your HR team or your friends, family, so we can support you and help you get the resources you need. And anyway, he goes on to talk about the role of CrossFit.
So I'm a firm believer that mental health issues, and I don't even call it mental health, I just call it mental decline or depression or feeling off, is in all of us, and it does surface in all of us at certain times.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer in that. I think the stigma people think, and the stigma we have to get out of our mind is, we see the person that's addicted to drugs on the corner begging for money, and we're like, that's the mental health crisis. And while that is a shame, I feel like that is the result of that individual life circumstances, and definitely has mental health issues, but could not get into the right lane to find help.
Yeah.
And often that comes from just talking, right? And so, if you're one of my members and we've had this conversation, I know your stories, right? Mm-hmm. And I know where you're at. So I have struggled with this at times in my life. It flares and it comes up, and I think in society that we have is like when we first come out of school or whatever, we have a lot of goals, right? We have to start getting a job, we have to get a career going, we have to start buying a car, and maybe we get married, we find a partner, we looking for the house. We have all these milestones, these goals, and that keeps our mind busy and active to like that. When I get to that point in my life, things are going to be good, right? Things are going to be really good for me, and that's what keeps you driving forward. Like I have this, and I don't say that's negative. I think it's a positive thing to have healthy goals, healthy financial goals, life goals, and all that, and work on it. And if that gives you peace at that point, awesome. But you also have to realize that you have to have balance in that, and you need to realize that those goals could be and likely are a distraction from some things that are happening around you, and those goals are what's helping you get through that. They're what's kind of pulling you through the bog of life a little bit, right? They're
it's the branch that you're reaching for.
And exactly, and it's like when people come into the gym and they have all these goals. That's why I see a positive mental health in the gym, and I'm just going to be one to admit that I have a hard time dealing with individuals who wallow in pity in themselves, whether it's, and I feel like those are the individuals, and once again, if this is you, I'm sorry, I'm being transparent, I love everyone, but we have a lot of people that like, I'm committed to fitness, I'm committed to this, I'm going to change my life, and all of a sudden they never show up, or they show up for a couple months and they fall off the wagon, and I have a hard time with that waffling back and forth, and I feel that mindset in that individual it's an easier tripping hazard to maybe get to the really negative part of mental health, where you can wallow and you can find despair that you can't get out of, because I'm an optimist, so I'm always glass half full, and when that glass half full is not occurring, I try to find the positive. So I have a hard time dealing with people that are glass half empty type individuals. Sorry about this Someone didn't read our note on the door, apparently.
Yeah.
And so I have a hard time dealing with that type of individual. I actually work with some people that seem doom and gloom everywhere, and I'm like, how do you actually get through life if everything is doom and gloom to you, if everything is negative? And with COVID, I think COVID has obviously taken the hope away from many individuals right now to where they're feeling an extra weight. And I feel like we all are treading water here and holding books above our head as we're trying to tread water, and we keep on throwing an extra book on certain people's head load, and eventually we start drowning. And that's that decline there. So a little backstory on me, and I won't go really deep into this stuff, but a lot of you know my backstory, and this is not an excuse for my mental health. It's just my story, right? And you all have your own story in your life. So I was raised by my father when I was 3.5 years old. My father was a gay man. I loved my father. He was my father. He was my mother. He dealt with depression and mental health issues as a child. We saw him through poetry and stuff that he would write. But what he was dealing with, in my opinion, was coming out of the closet as a gay man in the 70s, right, which is unheard of, just so you know. It's very rare and unheard of, and having to finally do that, like he was having this emotional battle within inside himself, and he finally came through with that. Very real. And he finally did come out, and I lived with my father all the way.
But still something that he struggled with, continued to struggle with?
Well, I don't think the mental health he really struggled with, maybe a little bit. Yes, I mean, mental health, when someone lashes out, like when a dad or a parent lashes out in a way that's, not for your safety, like, hey, you're about ready to touch that hot fire, but like, they drink alcohol or whatever, that's a mental health issue to me, right? To me, that's a mental health issue. And so I feel like most parents have had
a crutch or something that you reach for to numb the pain.
Yes.
So there's so many levels of severity for folks. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of people ask me, how do I feel, about homosexuality and all, and I'm about equality and all that. If that's who you are as an individual, awesome, have a great life, right? I really don't care, have a great life. I would say in society now, it seems like it's easier to gravitate to that lifestyle because it's more accepted. And so I question: are those people really like my father that are finding that?
There's more freedom for people to
and because my father was a pioneer in this, and so
stigma.
I don't know if I'm bitter about. Maybe I'm a little bitter because I had to grow up and be not really ashamed, but quiet about who I was, and so. Imagine growing up with a father who was awesome, by the way. Once again, I want to go back. My father was amazing. He was an amazing father and an amazing mother because he had to be both for me. He worked 2 jobs trying to put me through school just to kind of get things. I would lash out a little bit here and there. Didn't have a lot of money. Lived with we shared a house with my grandmother, his mom, and my dad's partner was a black man. I mean, we were just breaking all kinds of stereotypes, right? Breaking all kinds of stereotypes.
So did you feel like as a child, mental health was something, like now that you look back on it, something that you saw yourself dealing with, or?
I felt confused.
Times where you get really low?
And I'll talk, not really low, I felt confused on things. And so what really accelerated things, not mental health, but accelerated wow, life is really hard, is, for those that don't know, my father contracted AIDS, HIV, right when it started, right when it was the gay pandemic that was out there, and the death rate was, 2 months. And he told me, I want to say I was 12 years old when he told me, and this is the stigma, it's just on the news and all this stuff. And I remember riding my bicycle all the way to the church, the Catholic church, which is like 3 or 4 miles away, and I am screaming and crying at the crucifix, and like my father and my mother are all going to be taken away from me.
Yeah, your family. My
family is going to be taken away. I mean, I was so nervous, and I was so uncertain of life, and I was so
anxious.
and maybe internally a little bit ashamed because I couldn't really tell my story. I couldn't reach out to someone and say,
that's a lot for a kid.
Here's what I'm dealing with. I had to, all my best friends, and if any of my best friends in Ohio watch this, I came clean to them about my family lifestyle when we were married. Because we reached out and we started talking about that. And so this whole time my father was like, I just want to try to live to your graduation. My goal is to live to your graduation. So he was trying to keep his mental health positive by a milestone. I'm going to live to your graduation, and I'm going to then I'll probably succumb you'll be grown. And so I always had this milestone, like, yep, my dad's gonna, he's a fighter, he's gonna try to live to my graduation, and he did, actually. However, you know this, a lot of people know this story, on my senior year in Ohio, on Christmas Day, he told me I needed to go live with my mom, who is not maternal at all. You guys know I take care of my mom now. She was never a mother to me. She never had that maternal instinct. She was a businesswoman. She worked really hard. It's a weird change of circumstance for me now, because now I take care of her. But she was kind of out of the picture, and he's telling me I had to go live with her, and I'm leaving the next day. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. Everyone's doing their things. I was literally pulled out and gone. And the reason is that he felt he was declining rapidly, and that he didn't want me to see him die, and I didn't, and I was pissed because I wanted to be there, right? So there's like that backstory of all these things, and I came back here, and then I was eager to try to start my life. Like, I came here, I finished graduating high school here. My father didn't show up to the graduation, even though he came better. He was better at that time. He passed away, I think, 6-ish years after my graduation.
He lived a long time.
He lived a very long time with AIDS back in the day, over 10 years, which is unheard of during that time.
Right.
And so he never came up, and I was fairly bitter about that too, right? I had this father that I love, still do love him. I had to kind of keep everything a secret. We had this goal to be here at this certain time, and we weren't here. He wasn't here for me, and that left a scar. For sure. And this is just a backstory, so I'm sorry if I'm rambling on. But so then I was eager to start everything because I wanted to see my father see certain milestones in my life, right? And I can look back now and reflect. I didn't know what was happening at the time. Right? I'm just trying to survive life. But looking back, I could see that these were the issues there. Right. So I rushed into a relationship. I rushed into wanting kids. I love my kids. Kids, if you're watching, I love you guys, right? There's no regrets there. But it was for that moment of my father can realize he's a grandfather, before he passes on. Maybe one of my grandkids one of my kids could see their grandfather, which my daughter did get to see her grandfather, and obviously she doesn't remember him, right? And so that stigma was always there, and it was always cast upon me, like, people that did know, some people that were very close to me would always like tease me if I was potentially gay, or like, are you gay? And I'm like, I don't think I am. I think I'm okay. I'm not sure, but I kept on these milestones that keep
like it was something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, and it was something to drive forward. Like, I'm going to prove these people wrong. I'm going to do this. So I had these goals, and I never got to deal with all the stuff the emotional baggage. I don't know if I was ready to deal with it either, right? Like, it's like I'm not quite sure if I could go back, what would I change? I'm not sure, and so, but later on in life, I became really, as I started reaching certain milestones, and I think this is where people get, is once you get to those milestones, you're like, and I'm still not happy. I haven't dealt with the things that are going on inside me. Yeah. I haven't maybe surrounded myself with positive people that encourage and help me see the other side of a situation. Imagine being with someone and all of a sudden they're like, well, are you gay? And they're always, that negative aspect on you is, it's not healthy, right? It's not. If you're beaten down on someone, it's not a healthy thing. And so about 8 years ago, I was in a pretty dark place, and I was at a point to where, I really felt like I wasn't sure if I wanted to be on this planet. Well, actually, I knew I wanted to be on this planet. I wasn't sure.
Not like that.
I wasn't sure I had the courage to be on the planet, if that makes sense. I wasn't sure if I had the courage to go through the storm and work through the process of healing and finding a better balance in my life, right? And so at that time, I had a friend, a family member, lock up my firearms, and I said, please take these from me. I don't want to do any harm to myself. I want to fight. I want to see my way through this. Lock up my firearms, and I probably had them locked up for a year. And I would find myself, I would be driving down the road and I would see a logging truck come by, and I would have the thought, what if I just turned into the logging truck? It would be all over. I wouldn't have to fight, or I wouldn't have to do the hard work of finding balance. But I would have that talk in my head like, this is not who you want to be. Like, I recognized I did not want that in me, and I wanted more control. That's who I am, a type A person. Like, I knew I wanted this. I wanted to find my way through the storm.
So did you reach out for professional help?
I did reach out for professional help. And so I found just talking, and this is the thing, like, I find a lot of freedom in just telling you my story, right? But I found that freedom years ago when Dawn and I got married, and I'll tell you how that worked. But just telling someone you're not okay and having that person just listen to you and just help you kind of work through your thoughts is it feels really good, right? It feels really good. All of a sudden, in my counseling sessions, it was more me talking about life with the counselor just, write certain things down. At one point, they were offering me some medication to help deal with things, which I declined. I was like, I want to try to work through this and not mask my feelings. And if you take medication for stuff, there's no stigma there. And for me, I'm just telling you how my story was.
It can be a huge tool to
help.
It
is. I think if you have to be on that I feel like doctors overprescribe medicine, but I do think some medicine, especially in this, might be good for a short term. I'm not sure about being on it for the rest of your life, because I think, are we really dealing with the issue, or are we masking it with some sort of, antidepressant? But whatever.
Different topic.
That's my opinion.
Don't come at us.
Yeah, that's my opinion, and I don't even know if it's right? So
anyway.
Yeah. So I talked to the provider, and eventually I found myself to come out of the darkness. It wasn't like a snap of the finger, right? It was slow, and I found some hope and rebuilding process as I went through this, and I started feeling more optimistic, and I started finding a better mental balance in that case. And then as we became an item and discussions, Dawn actually celebrated my father and was like, "Well, what a wonderful story you have," And I never actually heard that.
Well, the first time I heard your story, I was like, "Man, that's so powerful! Like, you need to share that. You need to write that down. You need to tell people, like, why would you keep that a secret? That is like something that you should be proud of." Well,
and I was ashamed of it for the longest time, right?
Yeah. So I think you found freedom just in saying, this is me, and this is what I went through, and this is my story.
But the reason I was ashamed of it was who I was surrounding myself around were making me feel ashamed of it, and probably not what they thought. They probably would look back and say, I didn't feel that way, but it's how it felt to me.
Yeah, and how you took it.
It's how I took it. And how.
Well, and I think sharing it and having a good reaction, all of a sudden this weight was lifted off of your back too. Like, oh.
Yes.
So other people might respond this way.
Everyone deals with these things, right?
Yeah, everyone has a story.
And people look at you and I and think, hey, you guys have it all together, right? You guys must be, I don't want to say perfect, but all together. And we don't. We struggle just as much as most people.
Yeah. And there's always people that you put on that level. And so there's people that we think of, like Eric Rosa. I wouldn't think, gosh, like this, extremely powerful man who runs all these companies, has all this money, and this huge team of people below him, and he's worked to get to where he's at. I wouldn't necessarily think that, mental health would be a huge issue, but that's the thing. It's not. It's not discriminatory toward anyone.
No.
So, we all have our feelings and emotions that get tangled up in there.
They do, and I think
regardless
it's
of your life.
like you think about Robin Williams. I mean, it's a classic example, right? The guy was
Right.
so in your face, a wonderful. I don't know. I mean, he seemed like a wonderful human being and a wonderful comedian that was having a struggle inside that he could never share with people.
Well, you see people that often more successful they get, the more isolated, the more they feel like they're on an island.
And so I find now more. I talk to a lot of people about this. At my work, we have team talks, and I have certain talks with individuals, and we're open. Like, are you okay? We check in on it in an authentic way. Are you really okay, and how are you dealing with it? And so, a couple things as Dawn and I have been trying to figure out how to have a more controlled mental outlook on life. Not in that wallow in despair type thing. Is the way we used to do it, and we still go on a longer vacation, but people that follow us know that, we'll go away for 2 weeks, go to Mexico or something. In fact, we have a trip coming up, and but we'd go away for a couple weeks, and then we would come back, and we'd go right back to the grind, and we're like, bam, boom, boom, doing it all. And then we okay, I need another vacation. I am in despair. I can't handle this anymore. I'm about ready to break down. I'm going to go on another 2-week vacation.
Right.
And the way I view that is we have a gas tank that's full, and we get all the way down to that warning lights on, and we're like, okay, we're going to go on vacation. And all of a sudden we go on vacation, and we don't really get full again. We get maybe 3/4 of a tank, right? And then hopefully we're on another vacation within 3 or 4 months, and all of a sudden we're like empty again, and we maybe get back to 3/4 of a tank, maybe between half and 3/4.
Well, and like you were saying earlier, it's like you have that goal, and so you're pushing to get to that goal, but then what?
Yeah.
So then we just need to throw another goal out there instead of going backwards. Like, how do we make the time here
better,
be more effective and more balanced?
And it's what brings you peace, right? So for Dawn and I, you can, the seasons for you can be a real trigger, right? And that's the other thing about mental health for me. I think when we're mature about this, and we should all be mature adults, I'm almost 50 about this, you should identify your triggers, right? What are your triggers where you can feel like, you know what, the water's starting to get a little high up over the dam wall here, and how do I, maybe identify the triggers, recognize the triggers, and maybe avoid a trigger,
right?
Or just even recognizing it.
Recognize them, see them coming sooner, have your things in place that you fall back on, like maybe it's meditation, or maybe it's walking, or whatever those things you do. You have the tools that have helped you get through that in the past. So it's like anticipating, like, oh, I'm starting to feel
the triggers,
like things are changing, I'm feeling anxious, worried, all those kinds of things for people. So I think as we've been working through that the last couple of years, I think obviously COVID kind of threw us there, like either deal with it or just be done with all of this.
Yes, be done with everything we built here, right?
Because we can't ride this line anymore. We're gonna go crazy.
Exactly. And so identifying your triggers, one of them on you, I know when you get iffy is when it's seasonal, right?
Yeah.
And then what are your therapies? Like, what makes you really good? Like, for us, it's being outside in nature. Dawn loves to be out with the garden. She loves a book in the sun, right? Those are her therapies in life. And it's like, instead of getting our tank all the way empty, right? Our goal in this is to top it off every 2 weeks.
Keep it topped off, yeah.
And stay that way. And so if you follow our other channel, and I'll post this up here, it's not really important for the conversation, that's our way of realizing that we needed a better way in our life and a life balance. And so since our happy place is outside and just being in nature and kind of away from society, I guess, the ugliness of that could be in the world, we've made it a point that every other weekend we are out somewhere doing something in nature that gives us peace.
In our own backyard.
Yeah, and Dawn might be reading a book, which gives her peace. And if you haven't noticed, I've gotten into photography and video stuff. how did you say that last time? Like how I needed that? Like you had this analogy of how I run, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there with the camera for.
Oh, I don't remember. I just said that it gave you a creative outlet.
Yeah, I mean,
and you needed it.
And I needed to calm down. So imagine sitting there in front of a camera, and the eagle's perched up on a tree, and all I'm doing is waiting to see if I can get the shot of the eagle taking off. And that might be 20, 30 an hour. Oh, and I might miss the shot, which I did.
So for someone who's type A, go, workaholic, doesn't relax, doesn't rest a lot, doesn't stop moving. I think that's the correlation, is that I see that now you have to stop, you have to be patient, you have to listen, you have to be quiet, all the things that don't necessarily come natural to you in your day to day. And so I think that has been such a healthy balance.
And I love it.
Photography.
I love it. And
because like you said, you have to sit. You might have to sit there and wait for an hour for that perfect shot. But you're just sitting and you're still and you're in nature and there are no distractions. So you don't have your laptop, your phone, your email, all the things that keep you go.
And that's what I love. And that's awesome. And we're blessed because we both love the outside. I mean, so we have the same common interest, the same therapy that works for our positive mental health works for each other. So, and like right now we're out, we go out and explore on the weekends, different places that we might stay.
Just up in the mountains.
Up in the mountains. And so it's fun for us. We get out there, we're at the truck, and we're like,
we're learning maps.
We're learning and we're like, we're like marking spots. Hey, this would be fun because we're making deposits into our emotional bank account for that positive outlook that we're looking for, that we know that gives us
It's been
peace.
really healing. I think the last time we were out there, it might have rained the entire time.
Yep.
But it's like I said to you, I feel like this is healing me.
Yep.
And it's like we're doing nothing.
Yes.
But just breathing in the air, you look around and you just realize that you're such a minuscule speck in the universe, in nature, and just seeing, everything around us in creation. And then it's just like, it heals your spirit.
Yeah.
I think I was surprised by that, actually.
I was pleasantly surprised how happy we were.
So that would be my encouragement to you, is you try it. You find something like that maybe...
What brings you peace? I mean, what is it? And obviously we have to have a balance. Society has to work, right? We have to work. Otherwise,
all our tasks.
Things don't go away. We don't get to take things away. Your responsibilities.
And your challenges don't get any easier necessarily. You just are more prepared to cope.
Yes, and so I say don't go all in. Find balance on things. Mm-hmm. Do not try to, make that vacation your healing part. Try to heal all the way to your vacation, right? Mm-hmm. So that you go there, you're fully healed, mentally healed. You get the analogy there, but really talk, and it's okay. Yeah. It is okay if you have people that are negative against you about, like, if you're not feeling okay, that's not your tribe. I'm sorry, they could be relatives, right? They could be a spouse. That's probably not your tribe, and that might be hard to hear. It's probably the honest truth, right? And so people need to respect where people are at within reasons, right? And give grace. And that's what we've always said, just give grace on
to those struggling around you. You don't like the common saying, you never know what someone else is dealing with, right? So just be a nice human.
Just be a nice human.
And that's the thing. You don't know where someone's at in their day, or, how deep down in the hole they feel.
Yeah.
I would say, just if you are someone who's dealing with this, or something that you deal with on a regular basis, we'd love to hear, your feedback, your comments. Feel free to share. But my encouragement would just be, talk to your friends, talk to people, find someone in your life that you can talk to. Maybe it's just one person, but talk about how you're feeling. That's the first step, is you got to just get it off your chest. And so friends, talk to your doctor, make an appointment with us. Maybe, maybe it's something that can relate to the gym as well. I'd be happy to sit down. Like you said, we do this all the time. This can tend to be like our consultations turn emotional a lot up here when someone starts sharing their struggles and why they're here. there's all of those factors are involved. So find someone to talk to, find a professional if you need to. Don't suffer in silence.
Yeah, don't suffer in silence. And I always say, identify your triggers. And then when you look at those triggers, what are ones that you can control? You can't control everything.
Yeah.
But what are the ones that you can't control? And the ones that you can control, try to empower yourself and control them. Doesn't mean, and you might fail,
Right.
but try, right? Try.
Right.
Don't wallow. Try, right?
pick yourself
And
up.
realize you're not alone. I've dealt
Yeah.
with it. I'll probably deal with it again, right? I know I probably will.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. With that's a big topic.
Yeah, sobering topic. Thanks
re-
for listening through this whole thing, guys. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, realize you're not alone in those struggles, and realize it's in all of us. It really is, right? So just know that.
Yes.
With that, we're going to wrap it up here. If you're trying to get a hold of us, go ahead and follow on screen here.
trying.
Yeah, you're going to go to Storm King Athletic Club, upper right-hand corner there. You're going to look free intro. If you're one of the members, you're going to click on the members. If you're not a member, you click on the non-member one. Schedule your time. You get to come up here and sit down with the lovely Dawn Mason, and we just jam and talk, all right? So with that, big topic. If you want more discussions on this stuff, let us know in the comments. Like, hey, we would love to hear you guys talk about whatever. We're willing to talk about difficult things.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good weekend. Thanks, friends.